we've got us a big old Bristol Bay. Rated R. Under 17, no adult parent or legal guardian. Take a look at this monster. Had some roof issues over there. You see all the patching. We gotta get that squared away. And you can see, if you're gonna buy one of these, you get up here and you look and see this. All this mess. All these patches. Don't let someone say they're fixed. They're not. So, I think one of these, and a couple of them, there was one that I felt earlier, and it was Sponge. Here it is, out here. That is Sponge E. That's all rotted. So, there's an acrylic lens. I don't like these. They're really soft. They tend to crack. So, we'll end up putting a polycarbonate on there. We're going to be replacing the antenna. If you have one of these antennas, right there, that's a leak. Water will come down here, seal that. Pull this boot up, seal underneath, put it back down. If you like the crank up. But the way we do with the curbs and everything, we can't use the crank ups. There's a shaft that runs down in the ceiling when you crank it up, which causes this thing to come up. But it only bites on that shaft down in the ceiling, oh, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch. So even if I make a shallow curb for it, you're still not going to get the handle to bite back on. I know someone says you can take these all apart. Now, I'm not going to start doctoring all these old antennas like that. They're just not worth it. These are just economy antennas to get them out the door. So he's going to end up putting on I think it's a King. We put on Winegard's Kings. Which works better, I don't know. I really don't. I've never operated one. We just install them. So I haven't heard any bad things about Winegard. There is a couple of bad reviews on the Winegard razors that are up there, but that was years ago. So if you're looking to see which one you may want, keep in mind that Winegard did fix that, because we addressed that problem immediately. We wanted to make sure we weren't going to be putting on some antennas that were possibly going to fail. So just keep that in mind. But you know, since the bad reviews have been up there, I don't know if they'll go away. You know, but that was, they had a component in there they had to replace. That's all they did. So I'm just showing you what's up underneath here. You know, we do have an aluminum edge on here, and then they just taped it. That's just duct tape. That's all that is on there. So again, we got to obviously rip the whole roof off, replace it, put all the, obviously all the curbs and so forth. And then see around here, what Dicor wants you to do. See, I got this other. There we go. Stretch around. What they want you to do is keep slobbering this caulking on there. Slobber it on there. Now this is just a checker tool. All this is a cement joiner tool that they use for concrete block or brick. And it's just a masonry tool, joining tool. But you can take this, because it's pretty handy to go around like this, like I'm going. And you can do that. And then if you feel something that don't seem right, then you can put more on. Or if you see it all fractured out. That's what Dicor wants you to do. Don't use Dicor. You could probably use almost anything else. I would even try anything else, and if you're not sure and you put it on, like maybe OSI makes a product called Quad, you could use that, put it on there, and just do an area. Typically the reason why they say, well, you know, you do not want to put other caulking on top of other caulking, just to make sure it's compatible. But most Dicor is a butyl type of an acrylic latex caulk is all I can get out of it. I don't know the exact composition of it, but you want to make sure you don't put a caulking on top of it and then it have an adverse effect. You don't want that. So what I would recommend is go get some Quad and put it on there and see if that works. And if that works, great, then you're all set. So, but that's what you want to do. You want to check all around here like that. Make sure it's all nice and tight. I don't think this is actually Dicor, because it's a little more rigid. But that's what Dicor wants you to do. Put more on, and there's 35 years I've been doing construction work, at least, and I've never seen a caulking that is marketed for exterior use that fails within 3 months. You know, that you have to go back over it. That's a scam. That's all it is. They're exploiting people's ignorance to roof systems, and they're charging you 12 bucks a tube. It's their cash cow. So on here you want to check as well. You want to check right along here. I'm saying if you're going to buy this thing, don't be afraid to get up on this roof and look at it. You know, make sure these look pretty tight. If you don't see any caulking in there, it may be indicative that if there's a leak, especially if there's nothing there, water's got to go somewhere. So it's going down behind the wall. Then you want to kind of tap around if you see something like that. Make sure there's no delamination on there, because that's stuff that's going to have to get corrected. It will not dry out unless you open it up. It will not dry out. So And you also want to make sure, like right here, that area, this is where this checker tool comes in. See, you may want to put something in there. So we'll hit that again when we're done. We haven't even wrapped this yet, so when we get going with it, we're going to have wrap on here. We'll cover up all the awnings. We'll do all that. I'm just trying to do the intro of the video so my guys can get up here and start tearing it all apart. So you got some tape here. That's obviously an issue there. Probably a tree branch grabbed it. The other thing you want to look for on a roof, if you're going to buy it, is look at the edge, the very, very edge right there. Make sure there isn't any tiny little slits. If there's tiny little slits in there, then it's shot. So especially on a rubber roof. Now you can see this, probably see this little hump right here. And what that is the piece, that aluminum piece, that isn't fastened down or glued, or not fastened adequately. And it's just popping loose. So that, and you can see it all the way down. All the way down. See if I can get the camera on a different angle for you, but it's, you can see that gap under there, see? So that's, you know, we want to get that down really tight, and we'll do that. We'll fasten it down, but I'm going to glue that down when we redo it. I want to make sure it stays down, so it'll be glued down and fastened down, and then we'll put our protective strip over it anyways. That's just the way we do things here. I don't want to do them again. There's a lot of work to do them again. Look at all the booger they put on here. So you get caulking and tape and caulking and tape. Here's another area where water gets in right there. See that right there? Water will get right in there, and when it does, it'll get up underneath this. This is just a ring base right here. You can almost see the outline of it right there. And what'll happen is water will get in there, and it'll get behind these screws here, and then it'll start rotting out that roof deck. So, or just trickle down if it just happens, but it can cause a leak. So pay attention to those. Let's see, going around, so trying to just give you some insight on what to look for, you know, if you're going to go buy one. You know, now, if you have one of your own, keep these jaybirds off here, because this looks like jaybird doo-doo. That's what it is. Make sure your lights are sealed. Make sure all around here is sealed. You want to make sure this section is sealed, because water can get in there, just like I showed you on the top. Make sure the screws are sealed. All of this is just butyl right here, and what happens is, see how, I don't know if you can see how dry it is. I'll zoom up a little bit. That's dry. So what happens is butyl is great, but when the UV light hits it, it gets dry. See how dry that is? Just flaked right off. Clean that out. Just take a little knife, clean it out. You don't necessarily have to take the whole thing off. If you wanted to, you could. If there were rusty screws, I would, and I'd replace those rusty screws. But then you want to put some caulking behind there, and then you're going to make sure you get caulking right where, especially where the screws are, and squash it. You see you got a bolt missing right here. So inside here is a special little nut that fits in there. It's called a star nut. It fits inside here, and it's usually a 1/4 20, and then you put your bolt in. So we'll have to address that, make sure that that's good when it goes. And like I said, we'll go around all the lights. You want to go around all your windows. So EPDM rubber, what happens, so getting back to over in this area, when EPDM rubber, those little slits I was talking about over there, EPDM rubber shrinks as it ages. And when it shrinks, it's almost like taking a rubber band and trying to pull it all the way over, because now it's got tension and it wants to shrink back. So those slits could get worse. That's why it's problematic. Sometimes you'll say, hey, I can patch this roof, it's got a little hole, and as soon as you touch it or something, it gets bigger. Now, this is EPDM rubber right here around your window. That glazing, that's EPDM rubber. And I'll bet if you have this and you go around and look at all your windows, you'll see this is shrunk up. That's EPDM rubber. So if you don't have this style window and you got that full glass on there, behind that frame on the full glass ones is a little gasket, and they recommend to replace those gaskets every 2 years. So the best thing to do is make sure the windows are open on that style, and then when they're open you can go around and just caulk them. You know, put a good grade caulk in there. Everything we use is all commercial based, so like I said, OSI, even if you went to Home Depot or something, you could get maybe some Lexel. Lexel is a pretty good product, cleans up with orange citrus cleaner, so read your cleanups. And then the other one that's pretty good is OSI will work, and like I said, on top of the roof if you wanted to. Lexel comes in white, but there's so many different brands out there. Sashco makes some good products. You can get on Sashco's website, S-A-S-H-C-O, Sashco. You can get on their website and you'll see some of the products they have. So just make sure you're using the right product for the right application, and it'll usually tell you what it's good for. So you can see same thing, all caulked in here. Again, we're going to have all our curves up on here, and they're all going to be heat welded in there. So you won't have that issue again. You want to check top of your awning. Check top of your awning. Make sure that's sealed. Everything got to be sealed. Everything got to be sealed. I could not stress that enough. And you can see we had all this damage right here. So this coach actually came from upstate New York. That's where it's from, you know. So see how that just slid underneath there. So there's nothing really holding all that. So, well, obviously we take this off and replace this piece because it extends over there where I was over by the skylight. But I want to make sure that there's no issues with maybe wet insulation or anything. So more than likely we're probably going to pop some of these loose at the very least, and I'll talk to them. I don't know if redecking it is on the work order, but if it is, then that'll make it easier for us. But again, check all your edging right here. You want to check all of this. Again, the tops of the windows, you want to check all that. You want to check like right here. You need a little love in there. And then also around here, a lot of times, see those rusty screws you see in there? It doesn't look like it's sealed. So if it's not sealed, water will trickle in there, and it's these little tiny chronic leaks. That's what kills the coach. You're never going to see it until you see it. It's going to be like, wow, there it is now. I didn't know it was there. And it's these little droplets of water that get in there, and it's just chronic. So we'll obviously be replacing this insert trim right here. We have a different style that we use. Ours snaps in, and it snaps over, so it blocks all of that. But we don't sell anything here. Some folks ask, they say, hey, you know, can you sell this or that? We don't sell anything. We buy all our stuff in bulk, but we have to special order some of the stuff too, like especially this insert in the white. I know AP Products makes it, and you can buy some of it online, but the one that I'm telling you that we use, it's not an AP product. I can't remember the manufacturer, but we buy so much of it, I'd have to go back and see who made it and look at my vendor list. But we had to get it in black, and they don't even make it. The company made it for us in black, but other than that, you can't buy it in black. So I had to order 2 miles of it almost. So like I said, we just don't sell any of this. And you can see we haven't even covered the awnings. That's something we're going to do. We did get the door covered because we had to open it up. We don't want the scaffold to be rubbing against it. Same with the down there. You can see the awning has been protected down there. We got another rag down here. We don't want it scuffing across here. So we take the time to actually go over and make sure, you know, we don't want to put on, wow, that's a great roof. Boy, boogered up your awning arm. Hey, that's a great roof. Yeah, you got booger all over all over the awning toppers or something, or your patio awnings, you know. So keep in mind that's what you got to do when you go around, look at your coach, and you know, we'll get going. We'll show you what we got going on with this, but she'll be coming along here shortly. We get our roofing pulled up, and we're going to replace all this decking. That's what the customer wishes. We get some decking here that's compromised, as you can see. You got some over there that's compromised. So we're going to rip it up anyways. We're going to check all the trunk lines, and you can see they got some foil here. That foil is, the whole idea to it is to reflect UV light. But there's got to be a cavity up underneath there. LP Tech and a couple other manufacturers, they say you should have a 3/4 inch gap underneath there. I'm sure it does something. Probably doesn't do it optimally, but it may do something. We're just going to put plywood on here. Plywood. Get rid of that antenna. We'll be putting a different antenna on there, and that's about it. So we're going to motivate. We're motivated. We're getting at it. It's going to get done. All right. Look at all the work we're getting done here. You see we got aluminum trusses. Then what we do is we're just lifting this. We want to see all the duct work. So now that we got this open, this is a great time to do it. So we're going to be putting plywood on here anyways. We want to check, make sure all these are tight. We noticed one up here. That's what we're doing here. But it's lunchtime, so they just took off. We're going to retape this one. And then that was where we had the rotted area. So we're going to check, obviously, again, on it being aluminum, so we don't have any issues with that. And then the other thing we look for are these wires. You want to make sure that they're in some sort of ferrule protected, and these ones are. They've got these in them. So that's really good. That's probably I've seen these before on other ones, just not this consistent. Usually I see it for this and for that, but not for all of them, you know. So they even down here, same thing. So that's good. That's a good. We're gonna get fix this ground wire right here on there. We'll fix all that. Probably gonna make a bigger one. I think I'm gonna move this antenna in just a little bit right about here instead of being so close out here. And then, but like I said, I'll have to get another piece of wire and make that a little longer. All right. And what I see over here, I saw some ants. All that there, all that looks like soot. They call that frass. It's called frass. So when the ants get in there, they start kind of digging. They don't eat the wood. They just kind of dig it out and make their galleys. You know, you see something was down inside there. Made that perfect little hole. Don't know what was in here. Got some up in here. Nothing's wet. It's all dry. Well, that's a plus. You know, like you said, that's frass. Then we check, like I said, we just check the whole thing. Got some more in there. They're all bugs. You can see they're ants. Oh, now we had a friend in here. Got some acorns. He's not here now though. Must have left. We evicted him. Get out. Gotta pay rent. Get out. That's what we're looking. We just kind of said we just keep going up underneath, make sure everything's okay. You know, if there's something that we need to adjust, fix. There's another acorn. So now that we got this, I'll tell you, we're going to kind of look at these a little better. Just curious to know if there's any wires that I could physically see. I want to make sure a squirrel didn't start chewing on nothing, or chipmunk, or whatever the heck that is. You know? So we'll do that. We'll take a look at it, at least a more prudent look. So if he was up here and you see all that, I said, hey, let me try a piece of this wire. So if I see something, we'll fix it, but I don't know for sure. But so there's some more. There's another galley right there that little critter ran under. So all that. Like I said, we'll check it out. If I find something, I'll put the camera back on it. Went down around this way. Some over here. So it was all up inside here. It was all up inside here. Free rent. Okay, so now what we're doing, we're vacuuming up all those acorns. We already checked all the duct lines, taped them back up. We checked the electrical. Oh, we got our roof prepped. So you can see we got our buffer strips in here, protective strips. Got them on the shoulder. There was an aluminum one piece on here, and the reason we found out why they did that was up underneath. They cut the siding bed when they did the coach. So we filled all that in, and this will be fine. We won't need to have that aluminum piece on there. So we'll get that all going. You can see that we're starting to get the glue down, but one of the other things that we did is we sanded down everything. Make sure it's all nice and smooth. Sanded all that down, and then you got to clean it all, the dust off, wash all that off. Then now we're just getting the glue on the deck. Get it on the membrane, roll it over, do the other side, easy peasy. It's coming together, coming together. All right, we've got all of this glued down. We already did this side over here, and we already rolled it with a heavy roller. So now what we're going to do is just obviously put the sheet on, and then we're going to go over it with the big roller to get around this ladder here. And now we're doing, we take a balance roller, we go over it with a balance roller. That's kind of a pre-tack, and then we'll hit it with the big mama. Roll her down with that big heavy one right here. That one, that'll crush it down. We go over the whole thing with this. Make sure it's down nice. Alright, we are done with our big old Bristol Bay RVRoof.pro. Alright, we're going moving out a big monster over there. Another Class A. That's what we're doing. Alright, so everything's all heat welded together. You can see our curbs. 60 mil commercial grade GPO roof. Same product you're going to find on a restaurant, on a hotel, office building. Same exact installation procedures. Just keep in mind, these are not DIY videos. They're not at all. They're not tutorials. There's a lot to putting these together. So, but I don't want anybody to try to copy it and have it all mess up and then they say, hey, that's the way it's on in the video. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we just don't have time to keep showing. But anyhow, we got all that. You can see all the strips that we got going across. We got all our stands on the back of the AC. We got the one in the front here. And that one there, so all the water that does come down as you're traveling, especially, that it'll hit down below the flange. The counter flash is really what it is. It'll hit below the counter flash of the curb, and then it washes out. There's a counter flash that I designed on the top. So that's the way these are designed in a commercial application. So what I did is just design them to fit an RV, but you can't buy all these. You have to make every single component. Like you can see this one here, how it's kind of taller on this side, the one for the antenna, because those antennas need to be within 3 degrees of something like that, 3 degrees of level. So you can see we got the same stands up there in the front, and then we're all double sealed. Everything's done. We're ready to go. We are ready to go. So a new insert trim all around, and around the lights, up in here, the marker lights. See, we're going too fast for the camera maybe. Then we check around the top there. Straight out this awning, we redid the tension on it and everything. So it seems like it's rolling up much better. The owner was concerned that the tube was warped, but we checked it. It didn't seem to be warped. It just seemed like it had an issue getting with the tension on it. On there, you got the tension on both sides there. All right, so this is us right here. We're ready to go. Appreciate you watching. Okay, so if you watched the last clip, you might have noticed those feet weren't sitting just right. I didn't like them, so we took them off and made sure they were sitting flat like they should. And also we straightened up some of the looks like a couple little bubbles or something in there, so we wanted to get it nice and tight, so we did that too. So that's what we did.